Has ULTY finally managed to right the ship? Let's see what's changed. This video is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation. Please do your own due diligence before investing into anything. After our last video, ULTY made another change to their strategy, but this change did not appear to go outside the language of their prospectus. I noticed when checking the holdings that on their bigger positions, they added some nuance to how they approach selling their short call contracts for income. Rather than doing what they usually do and sell the max number of contracts for the same strike and expiration, they built in a rolling strategy. On positions like MicroStrategy and Nvidia, which each represent a larger amount of capital invested than most of their other positions, they now segment their sold contracts. Instead of selling them all for one strike, they now sell contracts against roughly a third of their position in the nearest strike, the next third at a higher strike, and the last third or whatever is left over at an even higher strike price. They appear to be the same expirations on all three blocks of contracts. So instead of having to be ready to roll all their contracts to a higher or lower strike price in an instant, they essentially built it in on the front end. This appears to be a risk mitigation strategy. Since these stocks can have bigger movements in terms of dollar amount per share each day, staggering their strikes like this can soften the blow of being assigned on a contract. If they get assigned only on the lowest strike, the other two blocks of contracts still expire worthless, and the income from the other blocks is kept as profit. While this strategy makes sense on the surface, and I hope it works, I can't help but wonder if adding this degree of nuance and keeping the holdings list so long might stretch the focus of the fund managers doing the trades too wide, since they're now keeping up with 20 holdings, not counting cash or FGXXX. ULTY also appears to have done some shuffling on their holdings. They got into their first nuclear energy stock, which is NuScale Power Corp, ticker symbol SMR. This company offers nuclear power solutions pertaining to AI using what they call small modular reactor technology. To the best of my recollection, this is the first non-solar energy company ULTY has invested in. They appear to have reduced their weight in the financial sector, but they do still have significant exposure to price fluctuations in Bitcoin via their exposure to Coinbase, MicroStrategy, and Marathon Holdings. They also still have multiple 3x leveraged ETFs. While those high leverage ETFs often have the high volatility necessary to bring in more income from selling contracts, holding these ETFs directly can expose ULTY to all the downside risk of hyper leveraged ETFs. As for performance, share prices appear to have somewhat stabilized since their last dividend. And by that I mean they're not in active free fall at the moment. Because this ETF pays so much, so frequently in dividends, it's easy to be blinded by those high dividend payouts. So I thought it would be good to look at the more sobering numbers for this ETF. If we look at its price returns compared to its total returns, we can see this big gap here. That gap shows that at least some of those dividends have eaten into your original capital invested. The negative total return, although slight, shows the high dividends do not make up for the underlying performance of this ETF since inception. Sure, you could have bought in at or near the bottom and actually made a profit, but considering this ETF has only ever trended down or sideways since it began trading, is that a risk you're willing to take? If you like this video, you might also enjoy this one here on the screen. Subscribe to join the Cash Flow Club and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video.